for Coach Roberts.
Yeah.
Not deep philosophical, but overarching defensive principles that you come with, and just meshing with the way Ryan wants to do things. How that's gone so far.
Yeah, we're going to be multiple. I mean, we're going to be odd, 4 down. We'll be multiple one just because you got to be able every year trying to figure out who our guys are and what roles and what they do best. So I think you have to be multiple to be able to adapt to your personnel on year-to-year basis, and then obviously what you're seeing nowadays in college football and the variety of things you're getting. So we'll be multiple. We'll be pressure-oriented. The number one thing, the first thing is going to be the being technically sound and make sure we run to the football.
And specifically, your relationship with Ryan. Apparently, he's tried to hire you before, and now coming together with him.
Yeah. I think when he first got to Memphis, I was at Louisiana at the time, and we met up there, and he offered me a job. I wanted to take it, and it just didn't work out. I had a buyout, and they couldn't pay it. So cut to the BS, huh? Here we go. Yeah. Had a buyout, they couldn't pay it. Okay, no. So yeah. So
your just overarching offensive philosophy and how you want your quarterbacks to operate within that.
Our offensive philosophy is we're going to be. I like to use some terms, patiently aggressive. We're going to be patient and we're going to be efficiently explosive. Okay, so that is kind of our philosophy on the offensive side of the ball. We got to be great in situational football. We got to be great in third downs. We got to score touchdowns in the red zone. Most importantly, we got to own the football. We got to hold on to the football with that type of philosophy. And as far as our quarterback, we put a lot in the system on the quarterback. He has to be able to do a lot. He has to be able to put us in the right situations. I give the quarterback a lot of freedom as far as I use terms like tool belts as to what he can get to in certain situations against certain looks. So we put a lot on the quarterback as far as production, as far as skill set, but most importantly as far as the mental side of the game and making sure that we are in the right play at the right time.
Coach Roberts, how big was it to keep Quincy Rhodes for another season?
Well, it's huge. Obviously he's an impact player in the SEC, and obviously he's going to be somewhere in the first 2 days of the draft, So those type of players are, good to inherit, nice to inherit when you walk in the door and you got one. So I'm excited about the work he's been putting in so far and excited to get on the field and obviously get a chance to coach him.
Coach Ramsey, can you talk about the running back room? I know you signed 2 or 3 for the portal. You got the high school player, plus Braylon Russell and a couple other freshmen came back. Can you talk about the running back room?
Yeah, we have a good mix in the running back room right now. Some big bodies that can get some tough physical yards, and then we got a couple guys. We brought Sutton Smith over from Memphis. We got some young guys in Baton, young guys in TJ who can play a lot of positions for us. Play a lot of roles for us. So when you really get into the offense, you're coached by a certain human being. So you're coached by the running back coach, but we have the ability to put you in the slot. We have the ability to put you as number one receiver. We have the ability to move you around. And that's a big part of this spring, finding out exactly what guys can do, where we can place them so we can mess with the personnel and mess with the defense coordinator.
Coach Lunsford, what are you looking for, I guess, in guys for special teams, and particularly with the return men, anybody that you identified to compete in those spots?
Well, first off, our identity on special teams, we want to be disciplined, we want to be tough, and we want to attack. And I think that's the big thing that we've been trying to preach that message to our guys as a whole because it's going to take our whole team. Obviously, our special teams directly helps the offense and defense, and so we want to do a great job of and it doesn't there's going to be a whole lot of different levels of talent on the football team, but everybody can be disciplined and everybody can be tough and everybody can attack, and so we want to do that. As far as the return game goes, we've got right now, we've been able to watch a few guys and really, one, study their film, but also, two, just see what kind of traits they have and all that. But excited about some of the guys that we've got on the team. A guy that has really stood out is Sutton Smith, being able to do punt returns and kick returns. Hawkins, he's another guy that's coming over from Memphis that shows natural ability at both as well. Batten, I think Batten's a guy, that was here at Arkansas that I think, could be a guy that could really help in both areas of kickoff return and punt return. So excited about those 3 guys. Coach
Roberts, I don't want to attribute Delta State Mafia to E.K. Franks, but I think think he used to call it that. EK used to be here.
Yep.
But back then you're kind of innovating and coming up with that tight front defense. How have you adapted and changed that as I guess we've seen more gap schemes and stuff? How have you kind of evolved your defense?
I think it's every year, Obviously, we try to adapt it every year, really to whatever we're seeing. What's the conference look like? Who the opponents? Who the guys you have to beat? Who the guys that are the best offenses in the conference? And it's really off of that. So we kind of tweak it every year, basically, like who we're seeing and what we're playing and what things we're going to have in our toolbox to go compete.
And Coach Ramsey, I asked Coach Silverfield about the quarterback battle that's obviously starting now. How do you see that going, that competition, and the end result of getting where you want to be with the QB1?
Yeah, a quarterback competition, quarterback controversy, whatever you want to call it, is an all-day, everyday evaluation of who those guys are. What they do in the meeting room, what they do in the classroom, eventually what they do on the spring football field, summertime, what they're doing in our morning workouts. So that competition is going to be going on for a long time. We won't have an answer till middle of fall camp or really maybe as we approach closer to the first game. Because we're going to let those guys have good days. We're going to let them have bad days. We're going to see how they react. We're going to see how they react to certain situations and scrimmages. We'll see if Coach wants to take a jersey off and let them play real football. We'll see how Coach feels about that, because that's when you really find out who your guy is. And we got to know who our guy is prior to going into week one. But don't quote me on that. That's Coach's decision.
I was going to say,
all right, that's Coach's decision. To me, that's the way you kind of get a feel for who is really going to be able to do it. You get that false sense of security sometimes in a jersey, a different color jersey. When that defensive end comes around the edge, can actually put a shot on you, man, then if you can be cool in the pocket, if you can handle that type of pressure. So that competition is nonstop all day, every day. What they do in the morning, what they do in the meetings that we meet with them, how that goes. It's been great so far. They it's a friendly but competitive situation in that room. They're talking to each other, helping each other out. They're communicating with each other. They push each other. So that's kind of what it is. In the end goal is we got to win. Bottom line. So the best guy in that room is going to play. The guy who gives us the best opportunities, the guy who's going to play, and that decision is going to be made over a lot of spring, summer, and fall camp practices.
Ron, Jamonte Waller is a guy that haven't seen the field a whole lot at Auburn, done with some injuries, but it seems like he fits your scheme really well. What do you like about him, and what have you seen out of him? Some winter workouts.
Yeah, I'll say in the winter workouts, he's done a tremendous effort doing that. He showed some leadership skills, obviously going through the off-season program. I go back, obviously he hadn't played a whole lot, so we go back to the days when we recruited him out of high school, and he was a very active, edge player. Had a knack for rushing the quarterback, played with tremendous motor and things, and we've talked also about, that's what we got to get back to. We need to see that on the field.
And for Tim, you brought, several of your offensive players from Memphis over. Does that help with the kind of offensive install and that sort of thing?
I mean, yeah, it does a little bit. You have a couple guys who already know the system, who already knows what the words are in the system. It helps me a little bit because a couple guys I already know their skill set. I know what they can do. To me, that's going to be the biggest thing this spring. Yeah, it's a developmental spring. Yeah, it's an install spring as always. Okay, but this is also a big fact finding. I can probably speak for these guys as it is a fact finding spring as to what our guys can do and what who can do what and we talked about the quarterback controversy, but really everybody's going in with a blank slate. Everybody's going in with a opportunity to play, an opportunity whatever happened to them at Arkansas last year, whatever happened to them at the other places they've been at. It's a blank slate. It's erased. Day one of practice, we'll find out who's who and what they can do and what we can do with them. And that's kind of where the scheme comes in. We have a certain scheme we like in the offense, but that scheme is dependent upon what we can do. I always say I don't expect my players to match my scheme. I expect my scheme to match my players, and once we find out what they can do, then that's who we're going to be.
Tim, obviously a lot of the focus at the quarterback spot has been AJ and KJ, but you also brought in Braden Fuller, a guy that's played a lot at the Division II level. Just when you look at a guy like that, as you're trying to figure out if you want to bring him in, what does he do that thinks you could translate to the SEC level?
Yeah, I'm anxious to see him go live I'm anxious to see him go in spring ball. I'm anxious to see him do it because we brought him in because we had a need in that room. We are very talented in the young quarterback room, and I hate that term because young quarterback is an excuse to make a mistake, and we can't afford to make mistakes at that spot. But one thing, no matter how long I do it, I won't be able to coach is experience. And Braden has played a lot of football. I don't care if it's Division II, if it's Division FCS, or what it is. He's played a lot of football at the quarterback position, in college. And to me, that's something in that room we did not have. So that's what we were looking for. So he's going to come in. He's going to be able to join the battle and see what he can do early. He's been great in there with, working with the other guys too and talking to them and coaching them up and everything. Like I said, it's a really friendly competition that's going on right now. I know deep down inside what they're feeling, but I also know how they're handling each other and how they're communicating with each other.
Coach Lunsford, how do you feel about the kicking game? You talked about the returners earlier, but just how do you, I know you brought in a couple of kickers. How do you feel about that group as a whole?
I feel really good about the room. I think there's a lot of great competition going on there. We brought in Max Gilbert, who's kicked a lot in college, and he has a lot of talent. Really love the skill set he brings, but also love the mental focus that he brings as well. He's been very impressive in that. And then at the snapper situation, because obviously we lost a senior snapper from last year from here, and then the senior punter. The snapping situation, Adam Johnston coming in from Sacramento State, I think he has a chance to be really, really good. He has a lot of speed on the ball, and he has a lot of those skill sets that you look for in a long snapper to really make your operation great. So excited about him, and I know there's a big competition with him and Max Smidley as well. And then being able to bring in like a Braden McAllister, who has hit some long field goals in his career, but mainly has been a kickoff guy. It changes the game when you get a guy that can kick it through the back of the end zone on kickoff. So that's been really good for us as well. So I like the room. I think there's a lot of competition in the room, and obviously when there's competition, that makes you better.
This is for Coach Ramsey. Just we spent a lot of time today on the quarterback battle, but having Clint Trickett on the staff, just what's your excitement with having him alongside you, to walk through that?
Yeah, my history with him, he's done a great job. He's played the position, and to me that's always the biggest thing when you talk to coaches. Have they played? Have they stood there in that pocket? Have they felt what those kids have felt? It's no different than Marcus Johnson playing offensive line. He can coach those guys better than, I don't care how long I study offensive line play. I will never be able to coach it as well as Marcus Johnson because he's done it. He's been there. He's played that position. So when you look for coaches across the board, you look for guys who have played that position, who can communicate with kids and can maximize their skill set and get the best out of them. And there's a lot of guys on staff who can do that for us.
And last one I'll ask you is just Coach Silverfield, when he was introduced, said that Arkansas has had obviously some turnover problems in like turning the ball over. He said it has to be implemented, immediately. This mentality that maybe that translates over to turnovers and late in games. How have you seen maybe the mentality with some guys change, the returners, since you all have been here?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right now, you're holding that microphone kind of loose. You might want to hold on to that microphone a little bit harder.
I'm going to knock it at it.
That's our philosophy. It's a lifestyle. It's not something you do every now and then. It's not something you pick up. It's not something you try out. When you're walking, I know it's a coach's statement. When you're walking with a book, you hold on to that son of a gun tight. When you have a football in your hands, we haven't had a lot of opportunities to do it with rules, but they're holding it the right way. We teach them how to hold it. We teach the offensive linemen how to hold the ball. We've had a 15, 20-minute meeting on ball security and when we can reach the ball out to score, when we cannot. What is poor ball security? What is great ball security? Okay? We show stats at every single game you play. The team that has a higher turnover margin has a much better chance of winning. So we preach it, we live it. It's on the walls, OTB. We'll get the whole community starting to say OTB and TTB. And to me, that it's a lifestyle you do. It's something we talk about all the time, and that's how you become better at it.
Yeah, for all three of you, I guess, have you guys just been settling into Fayetteville these past few months?
Well, I can say that the trip from the apartment to the office is kind of cool. That's about what we know right now. My family, and I'll go, but my family's still back in Tennessee. They were out this weekend. We're, when I say we, she's doing the house hunting and whatnot. So, but Fayetteville's been great. The people have been great. The passion for football here, the passion for athletics here is is second to none. So we're excited to be out here as a family, excited to be out here as a coach.
Luckily, I was able to get my family to come out this weekend. They're still in Alabama right now, but I'm going to finish up school and then get here toward the end of school. But we actually were able to get out and explore a little bit this past weekend. And the time I've been here, man, just great hospitality. I mean, great people. You obviously see the passion for Arkansas football. And, just a great community. It really has a great family feel, a lot to do. So excited about that and excited about getting my family here so they can experience it as well.
I'm still in an apartment, so I don't know. No, my wife's not here yet, but heck, last weekend was the first time we had a day off since we've been here. So I did walk down downtown square, and I got to walk around Fayetteville Lake this weekend, so that was nice.
Chad, I think for you were just a opposing coordinator in this stadium not too long ago. What were your impressions of Arkansas special teams unit a season ago?
Well, I tell you, they were when we were breaking them down, getting ready to play. I thought it was a very talented group, and it was one of those games where both sides needed a win, and so every play was pivotal. And when it comes to special teams, it's about a one-shot mentality because you only get one play. And so watching Arkansas last year and breaking them down, and I just thought they were had a lot of talented guys that played really hard on special teams. And now that we've been here for a little while, with the roster that we currently have, I see a lot of guys that are really bought into it, and really want to do a great job on special teams. We have a lot of guys constantly every day reaching out, hey, Coach, can we meet some? Can we talk some? So there's a lot of excitement about special teams. So obviously there's already been something here in place that got people fired up about special teams, and then also some of the guys that we brought in. So really looking forward to working with these guys.
Coach Silverfield has shared that you had maybe some opportunities to, bigger jobs while you guys are at Memphis, and you were pretty adamant and wanting to be loyal to him. I'm just curious, what about him makes that brings about that loyalty from you?
I've been in the business a long time, and what I learned in the business is you want to be around good human beings. Coaching football really isn't that difficult when you really break down the X's and O's. Okay, you want to be around good human beings. You're around people who believe in the same stuff you believe in. So as a head coach, he has his culture, he has his standards, he has his beliefs as a head coach. As an assistant coach, no matter who you're with, you better see eye to eye with the head coach, or you're gonna be looking for a job pretty quick. But it's a lot easier to see eye to eye with the head coach when his beliefs and his standards of what he believes a football program should be, or what he believes, and it takes a win in a football program, match my beliefs. So when opportunities come across your desk, me and my wife learned a long time ago that happiness is worth a lot of zeros. And when you're around good people and you're around good human beings, and you're winning, stay put and build some stability in your family and stay with good people.
Ron, just curious, you've been doing this a long time. What is the identity of a successful Ron Roberts defense? When you have a defense that is really good in a certain year, what do you think is there one identity maybe that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. We try to break it down as when you watch us play, what should you see? You want to be able to see that we're technically sound, we're fundamentally sound. We're going to line up the formation, all that, the general things in football. We're going to line up things right. We're going to defensive formation properly and leverage it. And then I talk about two things. This is you should be able to see us. So we're going to play with passion. Our kids should play extremely hard. You should be able to see it in the way we play, that we love the football game. And love each other and respect each other by the performance that we put on the football field. You should be able to see that in the tape and how well we pursue the football. And we're going to create havoc. That's it. You look for the defense is built most time nowadays. It's creating negative plays, creating the turnovers, getting the ball back for your offense as soon as you can. And then, how does that look, especially getting it done? Well, it can look different ways because every time you face an opponent, you're always talking about what do you got to do to win the game, And it's not always just clear cut and dry. It's not always, hey, stop the run, defend the pass. No, it's not. If those guys are all running 10 400 meters and takes them about 8 seconds to run about 80 yards. Sometimes you got to stop the pass and and hold on a run. So I don't give a crap what it is. We're going to find a way to make them throw left-handed and do the thing and take away what they do best.
Coach, the jack position, I was curious, what characteristics you're looking for in that position. Is it just a straight pass rusher? And we talked about Jamonte Waller. I assume he's playing there, and Steven Souls.
Yep.
I would assume Charlie Collins.
Yep.
I don't know, it's Ken Talley or not Ken Talley, but
Sellers.
Trent Sellers.
Yep.
Who
You
else?
got 'em.
Is that everybody?
And Witten's there. Okay. First, you want the dynamic pass rusher. That's what you're looking for. I want a dynamic guy who can bring that to the table. But he's still got to be able. He's got to play the run. He's got to sit the run. So most of the time we're talking about him is, hey, he's got to be able to, at least be able to handle a tight end. Can he handle a tight end? All right. And does he bring something to you as far as the pass rush ability? And then you want a guy that just comes third down. He needs to impact the football game.
Yeah, Chad, I had a question for you, and I was going to ask all three of y'all this just briefly. The benefits of having a off-season thing where you have captains and teams and they compete. What do you get from that? And are you one of the coaches assigned to a team?
I was actually given the title of commissioner. I still don't know exactly what my role is now. Actually, just the big thing is carrying out Coach Silverfield's plan. That I think that's what commissioner means. But I'm not assigned to a team. I think a lot of the thought process behind it, especially with the special teams piece, is being able to float and evaluate and look at guys. But I think it's invaluable what we're doing right now. One, you're putting guys on teams, so you got different positions that are getting together. It could be offense, defense, it could be specialists, it could be whatever. So there's some type of brotherhood or some type of bond that's kind of forming. I think also too we're able to put position coaches as leaders and captains on the team as well. So you may have an offensive line coach that's with a corner, and that ability to build those relationships. I think that's invaluable because of this day and age in college football where your team's totally different. It could be totally different from year to year. The ability to connect sooner rather than later obviously helps you be a better football team. So been really excited about what we've been doing with this team competition stuff. You obviously can work on the skill sets and the athletic ability and see all that type of stuff, but I think it's that connection piece that's really been good for us.
Yeah, and the same question for y'all too. And are y'all with a team specific? Either way.
No, I'm not on team. So really, he's got it set up to us to be able to evaluate players, watch them, see how they're responding to adversity, see how they push themselves, and also be able to see the movement skills and things, and trying to get a better evaluation of the players.
Yeah, that makes sense. And your thoughts on the benefits of doing this?
I think it's about the camaraderie of bringing the team together, and what Coach said. Offensive line coaches are coaching DBs, and DBs are going against DBs. It's not offense versus defense. It's guys coming together. One thing that's going to guarantee losses and going to guarantee failure is a lack of camaraderie on the team, and a team that is split. And that's what this does. It brings guys together. It allows guys who normally don't work together to work together. It allows the locker room to get to know each other, and allows the coaches to get to know other players. Like we said, running back coaches coaching linebacker, that's a big deal because we all got the same goal in the end. So it's great to that. And then, like Coach Ron said, being able to watch these guys compete and watch these guys move and see who will finish and see who will make a mistake and slip and fall down and get back up and still go to work. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys who, want to see a guy win every single rep, cool. But you want to see a guy fail and see how he reacts to that too. And then we start to learn who we got.
Coach Ramsey, Arkansas fans got to see a little bit of KJ Jackson last year. You got to be around A.J. Hill a lot. Just what about him made it such a priority to bring him over with you? Kind of what does he bring to the table?
To bring A.J. over with it, A.J.'s a big body. He's 6'5", 6'6", 240 pounds. He got a live arm. All that stuff is great. At the quarterback position, the skill set is about 15-20% of what it takes to really play that position. One of the best traits of his is his poise. his control. We had to put him in the game a couple of times last year as a true freshman. And he was so calm. He was so cool. He was telling people where to go, telling people what to do. Football is this kid's life. He does fine in school, and he has a good social life and all that happy stuff. But football is this kid's life. You can see when you start talking ball with him, you see him light up, and you see him really get dialed in, and that's what he understands, and that's what he wants to learn. So his intangibles is what makes him who he is. The fact that he's 6'6", 240, and can spin it, and is athletic enough to put a little bit of threat in the defenses in the run game helps out, But for a kid to be able to go in as a 17-year-old last year and step in and execute a 2-minute drive to put us in a situation to win, man, that's pretty impressive for a kid.
Coach Roberts, for you, talking to a few of the defensive transfers this offseason, they mentioned how excited they are to come to the SEC, the level of competition that it brings. For you, having prior experience in the SEC, does that make you maybe more comfortable to come into another SEC program where everything's kind of new?
It probably the experience of being there, probably understanding really who we're going against, and have a better idea of the familiarity with some of the coordinators and things like that. You're gonna get that help. The excitement again for everybody across the board, I think right now is just like everybody is like Coach said. You got a clean slate. What the sky's the limit. Any of your dreams can come possible. You know what I mean? So it's all really coming down to how we're going to conduct our business over the next 6 months, really, to get ourselves some preparation. And then once we get into the fall camp, then it's all right. Here we go, and it's how we're going to conduct ourselves on a daily basis.
Guys, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate you.